Well, here's what I got going on. Okay, I got it on that dowel pin there. I got it on the other dowel pin, but I'm going to have to take this intake off. But what was holding me up, you can't see nothing on this side. What was holding me up was it going into the side of the, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, see here? It's close. I got it to where the torque converter would go inside of that adapter. That was what was holding me back. Plus, I had to take off the AC compressor. You know, you might be able to get all that back in there once you figure out what's up with how to get it in there. And I had to trim this nut off, and it's fitting tight. It's fitting real tight, but it fits. But what I'm gonna have to do is take the transfer case off the transmission, because what it was doing, it was holding back on it like this, and to get that pin lined up so that torque converter, or that torque converter would go through that adapter, it wouldn't do it. So with that adapter, that torque converter up there with that plate, everything looks decent underneath there. So we're gonna have to take the transmission, unbolt it, and at least slide this motor out, bolt them up together, and then slide it back in there. So when I do that, I'm gonna make my plate for the back of the motor, and we might have to lift it up just a little bit, maybe an inch. I just need about an inch. It's kind of right against something, so I need to lift that. I need to make a spacer, a block, to where it lifts the back up just about an inch. I've got 2-3 inches right there before it hits the bottom of the floor. And you're not going to get them transmission bolts in there anyhow. It's too tight. It's just too tight. And but it's a tight fit. But hey, guess what? It'll bolt up. Can you believe it? Probably gonna have to get an idler pulley for the AC pump, or you know, you maybe even get one of those deals to hook up the power steering. You know, if you're gonna lose the AC, at least you get the power steering. There's a million ways to hook up the AC. Not so many on the power steering. But we're gonna have to unbolt the transmission, slide it forward enough, or just pull it forward. I have to unhook these transmission lines. I'll have to unbolt the transmission from the cross member. It's light enough you can almost just slide it forward, put those two together, put the bolts in it, slide it back, and then we'll address it touching the front diff. It's right in behind the steering rack. It can come up, that could easily come up 2 inches, you know, if I need the room. Whatever it is, we'll get it up, and as long as we can get everything like the fuel rails and stuff, you know, we should be good. You know, probably wouldn't hurt to just bring it forward about an inch and up 2 inches, if I'm being honest. Slot the cross member and whatever, but I need it back so it'll clear the steering rack, and I just want to get it up off the, it really ain't touching the diff. I mean, I can show you, you know, blah blah blah, unless you can see it. You can see right there, the oil pan's just sitting down on the steering rack, and where it's got it up just a little bit, that transmission, in order to get that together, you're just going to have to unbolt it, slide it forward with the motor, leave it loose, and just stab it in there. Not a big deal. Put the bolts to it, whatever, make sure it ain't got no pinch lines, and then we can figure out on getting the motor up maybe an inch. I just want about an inch, just enough to make it clear whatever there. I'm certain you could probably put the bolts to it and then set your motor mounts where you want to get them welded up, but I got to take the intake off, got to take the transmission out and hook it all up and put it all back in. But if it's sitting down on that diff or that power steering rack, you need to pick it up about an inch. You might be able to do that once you get the, just got to get the transmission to bolt up to the motor. make sure we can get the bolts in the torque converter, and then, you know, we'll see where we're at from there. So, wish me luck. It's stabbed. That's stabbed. I'll take that all day. It's inside the torque converter, blah, blah, blah. Everything seems like it'll be good. We'll get the rest of that wiring harness to where, you know, it's not such a mess. We did get the intake to where it will fit. So you can see that intake. It'll, as long as that butterfly can open, it'll have to have something else on there. Or maybe a van style brake booster eventually. It just might be tight for now. But that fits so far. It's right against that. It's actually got room. You can see it's got a little bit of room. It's just sitting down on that fitting. I'd go for a 1/2 inch, really. Just as long as it ain't gonna rub to where it'd rub a hole in the oil pan or something like that. I'd say once you get the transmission together, it'll be right. It's just getting that transmission together. So that's a day. I'm feeling better about it. It's probably gonna be, I'm soaking wet. It's been raining off and on. It's supposed to rain all day long. So we got it stabbed down in there, and I'm gonna take a break and kind of see what and all exactly we got to do, and throw some lube on some bolts and soak it a little bit. And maybe we can just unbolt the transmission, hold it up with a jack, and then just kind of pull it forward on the ground with the jack, get the bolts in it, slide it back, if we can. You know, I probably need to take the cross member out, all that jazz. It'll probably be a lot. It'll probably be a couple, 2 or 3 days. You know, once I get all that loose enough to where I can just pull it forward, bolt it up, and we'll slide it back and see if we can bolt it up and maybe just lift it up a little bit. Yeah, I can lift it up, however, right here, but I got to make sure that it's not going to be like that. You know what I mean? When you put your motor mounts on there. I mean, it don't really matter if you unbook the transmission, whatever, but it should be better than that. You know, I can pull it up. Once you get it bolted together, you can pull it up and see how tight you want to be with everything. Just kind of make sure that you can hook it up, you know. You hook up the fuel, hook up the PCM, and there you go. I had to trim one thing. I had to take off the AC compressor too. So, and I'm gonna take the intake off and, you know, all that stuff so we can get in there and make sure we can get the route that we need on those lines or whatever. And then we'll start taking out the dash once I get the motor together and get the motor mounts tacked up. We'll pull them apart, get them welded out solid, get them bolted back up. That'll go for that side too. I cleaned all that up this morning. And then we'll start trying to put this thing together. It fits. It's tight, but it needs a little just finesse. And that'll be good enough. 2.2 ecotec motor done in a 2006 Chevy Colorado with the help from performanceadapters.com. Like I said, I had one issue. Bolts had to come through the plate and into the block. Called them up. I've had problems out of people in the past to where they're like, they would stroke out. Actually, I'd take a guy to court, but that's a long story back when I was younger. These guys are great. They did me a solid job. That's good enough for me and, you know, fair pricing. So, I'm good with that. And next thing's next. We get that bolted all together. We get the torque converter bolted together. We had to slide everything forward, obviously. Weld up our motor mounts. We may have to jack the transmission up maybe an inch to give us just enough room. They do make adapter kits to where you can see that oil pan bolt. That's tight. So, really need to probably go ahead and put a fresh oil change in it. But I don't want to do that until we're running. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I am. But they make a thing. You can just, if you got room somewhere, once you get it, whatever, you can drill a hole in it with it's got like a self-tapper bit, and it makes a new oil plug. Just for like motor swaps and stuff, they make those. Just hook it up and stick it to it. It works. Self-tappers work. That's how I make my holes in my motor plate. You know, that's a little thick. If you would get the threads into that metal, it'll break it off. You gotta be careful. You just kind of get it real close, and then you can take a step bit and get it out. And we finish up on that motor mount on that side, but we got to take some stuff apart here to get it bolted up and then slide it back and then, you know, finesse it. We do that and we start hooking stuff up. You know, guesstimation, it's probably going to take a little time to whatever. And then, you know, obviously if we can't run that AC compressor, we're going to have to get something. So it shouldn't be that bad. They make a bracket and all that jazz. But if I can get it in there and finesse it enough to where I can move around with that steering. I mean, worst comes to worst, you could just take a grinder and cut that AC pump out. It ain't gonna work anyhow. And whatever. Or take the guts out of it. I can take them apart sometimes. That way when they spin, you know, it'll try to spin whenever that's spinning. Just grind it till you can make it work. I've done it before. I'm not above it. You know, the old man up the road here, they weld aluminum all day, every day. Whole family full of them. Don't want to do that. I'd rather, you know, save the pump or whatever, but it don't matter enough to me to make it go and do what I need to do with it until I can get what I got to get. Because if you can't run the AC on it, it just ain't going to run, period. You know, you're just going to have to get an idler pulley to make up for the slack on that belt. So, really, I might have something here I can bolt up there, and I just got to find something. I don't give up easy. But it did have a trim of bolt. That's the only cutting we did on that rack. And it's kind of sitting on that rack. We just needed up maybe an inch. If I had an inch, good enough. And we got to get it bolted together, obviously. So it'll be a couple more days. We'll slide, we'll bolt, we'll slide back, we'll lift it up and make some motor mounts for this thing. And then I'll see if I can't get this exhaust back on there. You know, I had to take it off to get it down in there. But once you take it off, you might be able to get it back down in there. But you got to leave it off. But the way that's made, it made flex or whatever. So, you know, you might cut more of that off and whatever. But I think I'm just going to have to use this. See, it's got a solid piece to the inside, or that may be all made to wobble. And then maybe get a piece of pipe that's swelled out like that with a 90 on it and get the exhaust on it. We don't care about that. We got to get it running first. Fuel lines, be fuel lines, all the hoses. I'll probably use all the reservoirs and all that stuff that came off this, including the washer tank for the squirters. You just got to hook all that stuff up. Put the radiator out of the truck back in it. We got to hook up, we got a cut line, so we'll have to get that fixed. But we'll probably be a while getting that bolted up, slid back up, bolted up, lifted up enough to where we got enough room, just enough room. And then make sure we can get the oil changed and all that too. So, next thing's next. Just keep plugging.